The calamity of wrath was a natural calamity to prevent the immortal Emperor-level practitioners from becoming even stronger. They would become legends if they were able to overcome it, but they would die if they failed. So it is the calamity of wrath. Yi Qingtang's expression was grave. Even though she had never witnessed the power of the calamity of wrath before, she had heard many stories about it. It was said that none of them had ever escaped the calamity of wrath before. For most of them, once they rose to the level of immortal emperor, they would forcefully suppress their powers to make sure they did not continue getting stronger so that they would not trigger the calamity of wrath. But the heavenly emperor obviously did not care for these things and had no intention of suppressing his powers at all. If he had been more careful and suppressed his strength, the calamity of wrath would not be here now. Is this the calamity of wrath? Above the void, the heavenly emperor's silver hair flew in the wind as his cold, emotionless eyes shut slightly. He stood with his hands behind his back as though he was basking in the presence of the calamity of wrath. Fighting with the skies, interesting, he murmured. In the next second, a beam of snow-white light appeared from his body and pierced through the skies. Mad, he's mad. The Feng family patriarch was pale as his entire body trembled and cold sweat peppered his forehead. He said in utter shock, "The heavenly emperor, he wants to fight the skies." Yi Qingtang's face filled with surprise as she heard that. Once the immortal emperor-level practitioners reached a certain level and tried to obtain more power from the skies and earth, they would attract the natural calamity out to destroy them, which was the calamity of wrath. Yet at this moment, not only did the heavenly emperor show no signs of stopping at all, he was still absorbing a huge amount of power from the skies, which seemed to anger the skies even more. How arrogant! Everyone was stunned. There had never been an immortal emperor-level practitioner who did not care about the skies at all before. The heavenly emperor was probably the only one. At this moment, the heavenly emperor was surrounded by white and he looked like a demonic god that cared about nothing. He seemed to feel nothing in the face of the skies. What a powerful spirit! Boom! The sound of thunder and rage reverberated through the skies. This force made those in the Feng family turn pale as Feng Jiuyou, Feng Wuyin, and a few other younger divine lord-level practitioners fell to the ground. Yi Qingtang could feel her body shaking. The power obtained from absorbing the demon blood in her was released in an instant. In the next second, her eyes and hair turned white. She frowned. Just one roar from the skies made the great Tao power within her feel so threatened and filled her with such power, but she calmed down as power entered her body. She wasn't going to be this shaken after hearing the roar again. Lady Yi, are you alright? What's happening? Chapter 26-22 Fighting the Skies 3. The Feng family patriarch looked at her in shock. At that moment, Yi Qingtang looked like a god as she floated in the air with her white hair floating around her and her eyes white as snow. She opened her mouth and said lightly, "It's nothing." Hearing her say that, the Feng family patriarch's lips twitched, as though he wanted to say something. But he ultimately decided to remain silent. The Yi Qingtang in front of him seemed like an entirely different person. Her appearance and aura seemed to be completely different from the Yi Qingtang before. Not only that, but he was also sure that the current Yi Qingtang was vastly stronger than before. He felt a great sense of oppression as he stood next to her. It was as though the air had thickened around them, making it hard for him to breathe. She raised her hand slightly. Feng Jiuyou and Feng Wuyin, who had been affected by the calamity of wrath, were dragged up by an invisible force. Seeing that, the members of the Feng family turned their stunned gazes to Yi Qingtang, who was floating in the air as well. As she had said, she was from the Mixed Heavens Holy Domain, where their martial arts were not even at the level of the Divine Venerate Domain. What a terrifying aura! Was she really human? Naturally, Enchanting had no idea what the Feng family thought of her and bore no interest in finding out. Instead, she turned her eyes to the Heavenly Emperor in the air. Han Sangming had already slipped away to some unknown location. All the while she held her gaze steady but suddenly looked over at something that stunned her. There was a huge shadow behind the thunder clouds, like a human hiding in the dark. Who is that? Her eyebrows furrowed slightly. Who was that person who would go so close to the calamity of wrath? Even the Heavenly Emperor wouldn't be able to do that. But the shadow was too blurry and Enchanting couldn't see it properly with her eyesight. Patriarch, look over there. It's a person, she pointed at the thunder clouds. The shadow was huge, larger than they could imagine, and they spotted it in an instant. Ha! Hearing what she said, the Feng family patriarch turned to look at what she was pointing at. But he could only see the thunder clouds. Lady Yi, what person did you see? He asked as he looked at her again. I have no idea who that is, which is why I'm asking you, she said. But Enchanting, I don't see anything, the family clan patriarch said as he shook his head. You don't see it? Her expression was strange. They were not blind after all and should be able to see it at one glance. Lady Yi, I don't see anything, the Feng family patriarch said as he shook his head. Lady Yi, what exactly do you see? Mother Feng was extremely curious as well, and she looked at where Enchanting was pointing, but couldn't see anything as well. Joyo, Wuyin, can you see it? Enchanting asked them. Sister Yiyu, I don't see anything, Joyo said. There was nothing there. Chapter 26-23 Fighting the Skies. 4. Sister Yiyu, I don't see anything either, Feng Wuyin said as well. Enchanting's expression became puzzled as she heard this. What on earth is happening? She muttered. How was it possible that she was the only one who could see such a huge figure and no one else could see it? The huge figure soon opened its eyes. Its eyes were blood red and seemed to hold the universe in them as it looked down gravely at the Heavenly Emperor. In an instant, the shadowy figure raised its eyes and the calamity of wrath fell all around them. A bolt of blood-red lightning as thick as 100-year-old tree shot straight towards the Heavenly Emperor. Boom, boom, boom. Explosive sounds shook the skies as the bolt of lightning landed squarely on the Heavenly Emperor. The bright light around the Heavenly Emperor faded a little. The Heavenly Emperor's lips curled into a smile as he said, "Fighting with the skies, how fun." Back in the Feng family arena, Enchanting's expression was getting stranger and stranger. She could clearly see the shadowy figure using its eyes to control the calamity of wrath as it attacked the Heavenly Emperor. What's happening? She could no longer understand what was happening. Even as she observed the people around her carefully, she realized that none of them seemed to be able to see the shadowy figure in the sky. Their eyes were all fixated on the Heavenly Emperor. Could it be that? She had a sudden thought. Originally she hadn't noticed the shadowy figure. It was only after the great Tao power filled her with strength that she was able to see it. So she put away the power within her. Her snow-white hair reverted to normal and her eyes went back to normal as well. She looked up at the skies again after putting the great Tao power away. What she saw stunned her. The huge shadowy figure had disappeared and the only thing left in her sight was the calamity of wrath. There was no one there at Visit Readel. Me for extra chapters. Oh. Without thinking any further, she quickly let the great Tao power wash over her again and looked up at the sky again. Her brows furrowed deeply. The shadowy figure with blood-red eyes had reappeared once again. She finally understood what was happening. As long as she had the great Tao power within her, she would be able to see things that she couldn't normally see, like the shadowy figure. She had no idea if the Heavenly Emperor could see the shadowy figure, but she was certain that the Feng family members and the other strong practitioners around them could not see the shadowy figure. If the Heavenly Demon devouring bloodline had not devoured the heart of the Heavenly Tao, she wouldn't have been able to tell if anything was strange at all and wouldn't be able to see the huge shadowy figure with its blood-red eye containing the universe. As Enchanting looked at the huge figure, the blood-red eyes seemed to notice something was amiss and it slowly moved to look at Enchanting. As soon as the eyes fell on her, her pupils suddenly shrank as every part of her body started shaking. A primal fear gripped her heart and she almost fell from the air. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 26-24 That Unparalleled Strike. 1. At that moment, she quickly retracted her gaze. She dared not look into those blood-red eyes. Reining in the mounting anxiety in her heart, she acted as though nothing was wrong, as though she had not noticed the figure at all. Meanwhile, the blood-red eyes stared at her, evaluating her for a long time. After noticing that nothing was wrong, it turned its gaze away from her and back to the Heavenly Emperor. It was only then that she allowed herself to breathe a sigh of relief as she noticed that the shadowy figure was no longer looking at her. When their eyes met just now, she felt an immense sense of oppression, which seemed to have carved itself into her bones. It was like nothing she had ever experienced before. She had no idea what the shadowy figure was but could confirm one thing. The calamity of wrath was being controlled by that shadowy figure. Not only that, the figure did not belong to this world and was from some otherworldly area. She thanked her lucky stars that the shadowy figure was no longer fixated on her. Otherwise, there was no telling what might happen. Furthermore, she needed the great Tao power to see the figure. Without it, she was just like the people around her, with no idea about the shadowy figure's existence. How strange, what was the shadowy figure after? It could control the calamity of wrath and had brought down countless immortal emperor-level practitioners. Was the shadowy figure there to prevent the immortal emperor-level practitioners from ascending the path to heaven? Of course, this was merely her guess and might not be true. It was hard for her to truly understand what was going on. Boom boom. Before she could ponder this further, thunderous booms filled the sky. Every time the lightning from the calamity of wrath struck, the light around the Heavenly Emperor would dim. It's the seventh bolt from calamity of wrath already. One of the practitioners observing the situation shouted in agitation. The number of immortal emperors who could withstand 7 bolts of lightning from the calamity of wrath could be counted on one hand. Many immortal emperors were already on the verge of being destroyed after the 3rd or 4th bolt of lightning. They were usually unable to withstand the 5th to 6th bolt and would be turned to ashes. Yet this Heavenly Emperor had already withstood 7 bolts. But before long, Enchanting looked up above the void only to see the shadowy figure controlling the thunderclouds. The 8th bolt of lightning seemed to be imminent. And indeed, soon after that another martial arts practitioner pointed at the thunderclouds above the void and said in shock, "Quick, look! The 8th bolt!" There were 10 bolts of heavenly tribulation in total from the calamity of wrath. Visit Me for extra chapters. But up till today, they had never heard of any immortal emperors being able to withstand all 10 bolts from the calamity of wrath before. Most of them had fallen before the 7th bolt. Today, the Heavenly Emperor was facing his 8th bolt from the calamity of wrath. The 8th blood-colored lightning bolt from the calamity of wrath was immensely stronger than the 7th bolt and was much more concentrated in intensity. Even Enchanting, who was standing within the Feng family's arena, could feel the destructive power contained in the 8th bolt. The power felt strong enough to destroy anything standing in its way. At that moment, the deafening noise of the thunder shook the void endlessly. Yet the Heavenly Emperor stood facing the 8th bolt of lightning about to fall with no fear in his eyes. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 26-25 That Unparalleled Strike. 2. Within the Feng family arena, Enchanting looked at the Heavenly Emperor with a feeling of unease in her heart. She knew that the Heavenly Emperor had to get through this. If he didn't, she wouldn't be able to meet his clone in her lifetime, and this wouldn't be fair to her brother at all. But looking at the terrifying calamity of wrath, she was filled with worry. Furthermore, while the Heavenly Emperor didn't recognize Enchanting, she had not forgotten him at all. Enchanting had never seen the Heavenly Emperor in this lifetime, but she still treated him as the Blood Moon Holy Lord that she knew, the little brother who spoke very little and was very cheap. "It's here," one of the practitioners called out as she was still in deep thought. Soon, the 8th bolt of lightning appeared in the sky like a blood dragon and headed straight towards the Heavenly Emperor. Boom! A great sound shook the skies. As everyone looked on, the Heavenly Emperor raised his hand slightly and the light in front of him started to form golden patterns into an old totem. The totem harbored massive power and protected the Heavenly Emperor behind it. The 8th bolt of lightning quickly struck him. It first struck the huge totem of light in front of the Heavenly Emperor savagely. Bang! As the 8th bolt of lightning struck, the bright totem light quickly dissipated in front of their very eyes. After that, the 8th bolt of lightning continued its route towards the Heavenly Emperor, its power not having been diminished at all. But this time, the 8th bolt landed on the golden totem in front of the Heavenly Emperor. There was the sound of a mirror shattering. They all looked on as the golden totem around the Heavenly Emperor shattered. Oh my God! At that moment, the practitioners all looked in awe at the Heavenly Emperor in the sky. He had withstood the 8th bolt from the calamity of wrath. Enchanting sighed in relief as she saw this. She had to admit that the Heavenly Emperor had a terrifying defense. Although the 8th bolt from the calamity of wrath was extremely scary, the Heavenly Emperor's 2 totems had managed to block it. It was a pity that they were no longer there. After a long time of thunder rumbling, the 9th bolt was forming in the storm clouds. The 9th bolt was much more terrifying than the previous bolt. The power it harnessed was way stronger and it was more condensed as well. Enchanting felt chills all over her body as she stood in the Feng family arena. Seeing that many of them were worried, she waved her hand and used her great Tao power to dissipate the power of the 9th bolt that was seeping all around them. "How do you feel?" Enchanting asked Feng Jiuyu and Feng Wuyin. "Sister Yiyu, I feel so much better," Feng Wuyin said. "Sister Yiyu, how did you do that? I thought I was about to be ripped to shreds just now." "The 9th bolt is just too terrifying," Feng Jiuyu said fearfully. "Everything is all right as long as you're all fine. Step back so you don't get hurt by it," she reminded them. As soon as she said that, the people from the Feng family all retreated. Chapter 26-26 That Unparalleled Strike. 3. Just as Enchanting had said, the calamity of wrath was powerful enough to make them feel it. Since the Feng family home was closer to the calamity of wrath, they could feel its might more clearly. At that moment, she looked at the void with a grave expression. Even though the Heavenly Emperor had only just withstood the 8th bolt, the 9th bolt was already hanging in the sky. More and more martial arts practitioners back away for fear that they would be hurt. Enchanting was curious as well as to whether the Heavenly Emperor would be able to withstand the 9th bolt in this lifetime. After the 9th bolt, there was still the 10th bolt. She couldn't begin to imagine how powerful the 10th bolt would be. The Heavenly Emperor floated above the void with his white hair floating all around him, his hands by his side. With the blood-colored lightning around him, he looked like an earth-shattering demon who was about to declare war on the skies. It was a sight that made people gasp with awe. But she had to say that she was filled with respect for the heavenly emperor who was floating above the void. He was facing the calamity of wrath so calmly. How many people in this world could be like him? But before she could think of anything more, the ninth bolt of lightning from the calamity of wrath formed and a great sense of oppression formed all around it. The huge shadowy figure directed the lightning toward the heavenly emperor. In the next second, the only thing they could hear was the deafening noise of the thunder. In front of their very eyes, the ninth bolt of lightning carved through the sky and slammed into the heavenly emperor, dyeing him in blood red. After a few moments, the ninth bolt disappeared. Everyone was stunned as they looked slowly at the heavenly emperor. What they saw was a trace of blood on the corner of his mouth, yet he remained still. The heavenly tribulation around him was being slowly absorbed by him. The heavenly emperor is absorbing the power of the ninth bolt from the calamity of wrath, one of the practitioners exclaimed in surprise. Absorbing the ninth bolt, visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. Enchanting seemed to be pondering something. From what she could see, the heavenly emperor wasn't absorbing the calamity of wrath but was dissolving its power slowly with some ability of his. The heavenly emperor is exceptional. Enchanting muttered under her breath. Another person would have been destroyed by the ninth bolt from the calamity of wrath. The heavenly emperor was extremely intelligent to have used his own power to dissolve it. Not only that, his physical defense was already on a frightening level. With the heavenly emperor dissolving the last bolt, the shadowy figure behind the thunder clouds glared at him with blood-red eyes. The last bolt quickly formed behind the thunder clouds. The whole sky turned blood-red quickly and they could no longer tell whether it was day or night. The 10th bolt let out a terrifying noise, as though it was a mountain cracking open, and hurled quickly towards the heavenly emperor. At the same moment, a light appeared in the heavenly emperor's eyes and he instantly turned into a golden dragon. The golden dragon collided with the 10th bolt from the calamity of wrath. Chapter 26-27. That unparalleled strike, for everyone was stunned at the sight of this. It was the first time they had seen the heavenly emperor turn into a golden dragon. Is the heavenly emperor not human? One of the practitioners stared at the heavenly emperor who had transformed into a golden dragon above the void. He was dumbfounded. No one knew much about the heavenly emperor and there had never been rumors that the heavenly emperor was related to the golden dragon before. Enchanting looked slightly doubtful as she looked at the golden dragon that the heavenly emperor had turned into but didn't seem to be his body. It seemed to be some sort of blood magic, but Enchanting had no idea what it actually was. The golden dragon looked huge within the void. It roared loudly and the earth seemed to shake. The shadowy figure behind the clouds stared at the golden dragon that the heavenly emperor had morphed into with a glint in its eye. Even though the 10th bolt was extremely powerful, for now, it had nothing to do with the golden dragon. Light reflected off the dragon's scales as though it was trying to devour everything. Boom! A loud noise surrounded the entire arena as the 10th bolt from the calamity of wrath struck the back of the golden dragon directly. The golden dragon roared in fury and the breath of destruction surrounded the 10th bolt, trapping it within a sealed space. Yet after a few breaths, the 10th bolt broke free and shot towards the golden dragon. That is the last bolt of heavenly tribulation from the calamity of wrath. Will the heavenly emperor be able to withstand it? The practitioners from afar were all utterly dumbfounded. They had never heard of an immortal emperor being able to withstand all 10 bolts before. Don't tell me, the heavenly emperor is really going to be able to withstand the 10th bolt. Has he already successfully ascended to the heavens? Once the elder swallowed. Judging by the current situation, the golden dragon that the heavenly emperor had morphed into had extraordinary might. Be it defensive or offensive power, it had already reached a height unimaginable to most people. It was amazing that the golden dragon could float in the void without being destroyed after being struck by the 10th bolt. Look at that, the light from the 10th bolt is slowly dimming. One of the younger martial arts practitioners pointed at the sky and said. As soon as the words were out of his mouth, everyone turned to look at where he was pointing. Just as he said, the color from the calamity of wrath was slowly fading and the power it was emanating seemed to be diminishing as well. But they could see that the golden dragon was also riddled with wounds. The only unchanging thing was its eyes, which were still glinting coldly and indifferently. He was fighting the skies. Enchanting assessed the situation in the Feng family arena and wasn't as worried as before. Judging from the current situation, after the Heavenly Emperor had morphed into the Golden Dragon, if nothing went wrong, he should be able to withstand the 10th bolt. But what made her curious was what was going to happen after he withstood the last bolt. Any immortal emperor was qualified to ascend to heaven as long as they could withstand all 10 bolts from the calamity of wrath. Chapter 26-28 That Unparalleled Strike 5. At that moment, Enchanting was almost certain that the Heavenly Emperor was already invincible. It would probably only be a matter of time before he survived the 10th Heavenly Tribulation. In that case, it would only be a matter of time before the Heavenly Emperor would be able to ascend to the heavens. However, Enchanting was a little puzzled. Although she did not know what happened in this era, she was certain that the Heavenly Emperor still existed in her own era. Could it be that her previous conjecture was not right? As the saying went, one could ascend to the heavens only after surviving the 10th Heavenly Tribulation. The most important part of ascending to the heavens was not like what she had imagined it to be. If the Heavenly Emperor did not survive the 10th Heavenly Tribulation, it would have been impossible for the Heavenly Emperor to exist in Enchanting's era. On the other hand, if the Heavenly Emperor survived the 10th Heavenly Tribulation and ascended the heavens to the upper realm, the Heavenly Emperor would not be in Enchanting's era either. For a moment there, Enchanting was even more puzzled. She did not know what would happen. Enchanting knew very little about the Heavenly Emperor. Moreover, there were very few records of supreme beings like the Heavenly Emperor and Han Sangming. Look, the 10th Heavenly Tribulation is about to disperse. Before Enchanting could think further, an excited shout snapped her out of her reverie. Along with their gazes, the divine might of the 10th Heavenly Tribulation had decreased to be nearly on par with the 9th. Moreover, the luster of the 10th Heavenly Tribulation was growing dimmer and was almost transparent. Is that it? In the sky, the Heavenly Emperor was facing the attack of the 10th Heavenly Tribulation. However, this time, the Heavenly Emperor had no intention of dodging. His huge golden dragon body changed rapidly. Before long, the Heavenly Emperor returned to his original form. The clothes on the upper half of the Heavenly Emperor's body had already been torn to shreds, and he was covered with streaks of blood. His snow-white long hair was also soaked in blood. He looked like an unprecedented great demon god. Boom! A loud bang shook the surroundings. Faced with the full force of the 10th Heavenly Tribulation, the Heavenly Emperor did not dodge at all. He took a step forward, his eyes erupting with a terrifying cold light. In front of everyone, his right palm grabbed the 10th Heavenly Tribulation. It's over, Enchanting muttered. It seemed that the Heavenly Emperor had indeed survived all the attacks of the Heavenly Tribulation. Then, what would happen next? From the corner of her eye, Enchanting happened to see a huge shadow behind the thundercloud. And she also saw the huge shadow's arm rising slightly. What is that shadow doing? An ominous premonition surged in Enchanting's heart when she saw that. In the next second, the shadowy right arm blasted towards the Heavenly Emperor. Be careful, RM. Without any time to think, Enchanting shouted at the Heavenly Emperor. The Heavenly Emperor's gaze landed on Enchanting. For a split second, he looked confused, but he recovered almost instantly. The Heavenly Emperor quickly retreated and shielded himself with his arm. Boom! A thunderous explosion rang out. A look of shock appeared in the Heavenly Emperor's eyes. Chapter 26-29 That unparalleled strike. 6. An indescribable pressure instantly enveloped the Heavenly Emperor. At that moment, the crowd present had baffled expressions. 10th Heavenly Tribulation had dissipated. Why did the Heavenly Emperor seem to have suffered some kind of heavy blow? Apart from the Heavenly Emperor, there was no one else in the sky. They did not see anyone attack the Heavenly Emperor. What happened? That muffled sound just now, am I seeing things? Was the Heavenly Emperor just defending himself? Could it be that the 10th Heavenly Tribulation hasn't dissipated? Others might not have seen it, but Enchanting saw it clearly. The shadow behind the thundercloud had suddenly attacked the Heavenly Emperor. If the Heavenly Emperor had not reacted in time, the consequences would have been dire. The Heavenly Emperor's actions proved that he did not detect the blood-red eyes of that shadow behind the thundercloud. Even an immortal Emperor-level practitioner like the Heavenly Emperor could not see it. Enchanting pondered in her heart and grew increasingly astounded. Where did that shadow come from and what was the meaning of its existence? Just one strike from it was already a huge threat to the Heavenly Emperor. However, before Enchanting could think further, a blood-colored light appeared around the shadow. In the next second, it waved its huge fist and punched the Heavenly Emperor again. Boom! The loud boom echoed in all directions. This time, even Enchanting did not have the time to shout out a warning. The shadow's speed was really too fast. It was so fast that it exceeded the limits of Enchanting's understanding. Even though Enchanting had a pair of heavenly Dao eyes, it was difficult to capture the shadow's movements. The Heavenly Emperor's body plummeted. In midair, he spat out a large mouthful of blood. Swoosh! The Heavenly Emperor, who was falling, used the blood on his body to condense a blood pearl. His eyes flickered with a terrifying cold light as that blood pearl struck the space between the eyebrows of the shadow. What's going on? Who is the Heavenly Emperor fighting? Did the Heavenly Emperor lose? At that moment, the crowd below was in disbelief. Other than the Heavenly Emperor, they could not see anything else. Apart from Enchanting, no one knew what was happening to the Heavenly Emperor. In the next second, the blood pearl condensed by the Heavenly Emperor exploded between the brows of the shadow. A monstrous flame burned and created steam in the surrounding air. Did the Heavenly Emperor discover that shadow? Enchanting frowned and pondered. After a while, Enchanting shook her head quietly. The Heavenly Emperor did not seem to have discovered the shadow. He had just instinctively attacked in the direction of the shadow. The shadow wriggled its body frantically as if the Heavenly Emperor's strike had injured it. Soon, the shadow disappeared into the void. Meanwhile, the Heavenly Emperor fell into the deep forest in the distance. Seeing that, Enchanting instantly flew into the sky and towards the direction where the Heavenly Emperor had fallen. Enchanting was not the only one. Several other powerful auras also rushed from afar towards the Heavenly Emperor. There were many Emperor-level experts in the vicinity. Many of them had been hiding in the dark and watching. They had been waiting for the Heavenly Emperor to fail the 10th Heavenly Tribulation. An immortal emperor's body would be filled with treasures, so if he died, his corpse would be a treasure trove. To emperor-level practitioners, it was extremely attractive. Even if it was risky, as long as there was the hope of obtaining this treasure trove, they would do their best to fight for it. Clearly, the emperor-level experts who had been hiding in the dark believed that the Heavenly Emperor would not be able to endure the 10th Heavenly Tribulation. Perhaps he had already died. This would be the best opportunity for them to raid the Heavenly Emperor. Enchanting's body streaked across the sky and she turned into a white shadow. In the blink of an eye, she had already disappeared. About 15 minutes later, in an open canyon deep in the forest. Thick smoke was rising into the sky, accompanied by strange sizzling sounds. There was a huge depression below, about 100 feet in diameter. The Heavenly Emperor was lying in it. Enchanting was the first to arrive. She frowned when she saw the Heavenly Emperor in the deep pit in the valley. After a while, Enchanting landed on the ground. She was not bothered by the approaching auras. Upon landing, Enchanting walked to the side of the deep pit and her gaze landed on the motionless Heavenly Emperor, whose body was still emitting white smoke. It had to be said that this scene felt very familiar. Enchanting still remembered that when she first met the Blood Moon Holy Lord on the first mainland of the Blue Sky Domain, it was very similar to what she was seeing now. It seemed that history liked to repeat itself. Enchanting did not rashly approach the Heavenly Emperor but observed from the side. She did not know how badly injured the Heavenly Emperor was. If she approached him just like that, she might be attacked. She did not want to take such a huge and meaningless risk. Before long, several figures flickered in the air as the Emperor-level experts arrived. The Emperor-level practitioners were stunned to see a woman standing near the Heavenly Emperor. They did not expect someone to be even faster than them and arrive before them. Who are you? Are you here to raid the Immortal Emperor? One of the practitioners asked as his gaze landed on Enchanting. These Emperor-level practitioners did not know Enchanting and did not know her background, so they were rather cautious. Enchanting looked up at the Emperor-level figures and said, "The Heavenly Emperor has not died yet. There's no need to talk about raiding. Leave immediately." The Emperor-level practitioners were stunned. This woman of unknown origin was young, but her tone was bold. To think that she was commanding the Emperor-level figures to leave immediately. Why? Do you want to keep the corpse of the Immortal Emperor for yourself? One of the Emperor-level experts glared at Enchanting and shouted coldly. Was I not clear enough? Enchanting frowned slightly. Didn't I say just now that the Heavenly Emperor is not dead? Whether he is dead or alive is not for you to say. Even if he is still alive, he is heavily injured and will die sooner or later. You're still young, why don't you leave now and avoid an unnecessary calamity? The leading Emperor-level figure said coldly. If they could obtain the treasures of this Immortal Emperor, there was a high chance that one of them could become a new Immortal Emperor. Now this unknown woman wanted to send them away with just a few words. It was obvious that she wanted to take the Heavenly Emperor's corpse for herself. How could they possibly allow this? Everyone, why don't we do this? Although we can't tell the depth of this woman's strength, in order to avoid trouble, we should work together to eliminate this woman first. As for how to split the corpse of the Heavenly Emperor later, that will depend on our individual abilities, one of the Emperor-level practitioners suggested. Agreed. I have no objections either. In that case, let's attack. Several Emperor-level practitioners leaped towards Enchanting from the sky. They were so fast that it was difficult to catch them with the naked eye. However, the first Emperor-level practitioner who suggested this did not attack Enchanting. While the others were attacking Enchanting, his lips curled up slightly. He immediately turned around and flew towards the Heavenly Emperor who was in the deep pit on the ground. What are you doing? One of the Emperor-level practitioners shouted in anger. The others who were surrounding Enchanting stopped in mid-air and looked at the Emperor-level practitioner rushing into the deep pit. That old fool tricked us into attacking that woman, while he takes the opportunity to get at the corpse of the Heavenly Emperor. The Emperor-level practitioners immediately ignored Enchanting and flew towards the Heavenly Emperor who was in the deep pit on the ground. No matter what, they must not let that trickster's scheme succeed. In just a few breaths, the others arrived at the deep pit on the ground. They all wanted to get close to the Heavenly Emperor in the shortest time possible. The corpse of the Heavenly Emperor was like a huge treasure trove. Anyone who could obtain the Heavenly Emperor's body would have a high chance of becoming a new immortal emperor. Who would be willing to miss such an opportunity? However, just as the Emperor-level practitioners approached the Heavenly Emperor and before they could do anything, the Heavenly Emperor, who was supposed to be dead, stood up. He looked at everyone with his bone-chilling eyes. Heavenly Emperor, the Emperor-level practitioners were shocked and in disbelief. This Heavenly Emperor, how is this possible? One of the Emperor-level practitioners stared at the Heavenly Emperor, his eyes filled with shock and fear. How could the Heavenly Emperor survive the 10th Heavenly Tribulation? At this moment, a cold glint flashed across the Heavenly Emperor's eyes. Before the Emperor-level experts knew what was happening, their bodies were torn apart and turned to dust. In the distance, Enchanting stared at the Heavenly Emperor and frowned slightly. She had been right not to approach the Heavenly Emperor earlier. Otherwise, she would probably end up the same as those Emperor-level practitioners. How could it be so easy to raid an immortal emperor? Even if he really died in the 10th Heavenly Tribulation, his body would transform into an extremely dangerous deity ocean. Before Enchanting could think further, the Heavenly Emperor's body collapsed again. At that moment, Enchanting slowly approached the deep pit. She still had to be careful. Those Emperor-level practitioners who wanted the corpse of the immortal emperor, they were a lesson to be learned. In fact, Enchanting had already given those fools a hint when she told them that the Heavenly Emperor was not dead. But they had been overwhelmed by their desires and died as a result. Soon after, Enchanting walked into the deep pit. She had already decided that she would leave immediately if there were any abnormal movements. This was to ensure that she would not suffer an undeserved catastrophe. Even in his current state, the Heavenly Emperor was still extremely powerful. He had just casually slain several Emperor-level practitioners with barely any discernible movement. From that alone, it was clear how terrifying he was. As the saying goes, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. Although Enchanting was not far from the Heavenly Emperor, she spent a good half an hour slowly approaching him. Upon closer inspection, the Heavenly Emperor had indeed fainted. He was lying bare-chested in the deep pit and his long hair, which was covered in blood, hung loosely. Even so, he still exuded a faint suppressive aura. As Enchanting approached the Heavenly Emperor and crouched down to check his injuries. Although Enchanting knew that it was impossible for anything to happen to the Heavenly Emperor, she was still worried. Is this the power of the Heavenly Tribulation? Enchanting stared at the Heavenly Emperor and frowned. The Heavenly Emperor's body contained an extremely large amount of destructive energy. It seemed that it was also because of this energy that although the Heavenly Emperor's physique was extremely powerful, he was unable to self-heal quickly. Enchanting placed her palm gently on the Heavenly Emperor's back. This destructive force might be unbearable for the Heavenly Emperor, but it was extremely nutritious for Enchanting actually. Enchanting was not interested in the Heavenly Emperor's destructive force at all. However, her heavenly demon bloodline was salivating for it. Moreover, if she did not remove this destructive energy from the Heavenly Emperor's body, even if the Heavenly Emperor recovered in the future, it would leave behind a hidden malady. Killing two birds with one stone. Why not? Without any hesitation, Enchanting immediately activated the power of the heavenly demon bloodline in her body and began to absorb the destructive force in the Heavenly Emperor's body. As the heavenly demon devouring bloodline devoured the power of destruction, Enchanting could feel its joy. About an hour later, Enchanting's entire body was soaked in a cold sweat. It was difficult for Enchanting's body to withstand the process of the heavenly demon bloodline absorbing this destructive force. Enchanting stared at the Heavenly Emperor meaningfully. Just this residual destructive energy was already very difficult for her to handle. It was impossible to imagine how the Heavenly Emperor had managed to block the full power of the heavenly tribulation. In fact, if not for the shadow behind that thundercloud suddenly attacking him, the Heavenly Emperor might have already completed his so-called ascension. Just as she finished absorbing all the destructive energy from the Heavenly Emperor's body, Enchanting accidentally activated her heavenly demon devouring bloodline and was about to devour the Heavenly Emperor's original energy. Enchanting hurriedly withdrew the heavenly demon devouring bloodline. If she allowed it to continue, both she and the Heavenly Emperor would be in big trouble. All in all, Enchanting was rather helpless. This heavenly demon devouring bloodline was completely different from the divine phoenix bloodline. It was an extreme manifestation of overbearingness and wanted to devour the heavens and the earth. Previously, the heavenly demon devouring bloodline was too weak to have so many tricks up its sleeves. But now, the heavenly demon bloodline had become more powerful and it no longer had any restraints. Chapter 2633 Han Kangming's Ambush. 4. Enchanting was also very helpless about this. Fortunately, the heavenly demon devouring bloodline was not completely uncontrollable. Otherwise, Enchanting would probably have to give up this forbidden bloodline. It was not without reason that the heavenly demon devouring bloodline was classified as an emergency bloodline. Even Enchanting was a little afraid of it. It was too overwhelming. Ha! Before Enchanting could think further, an unexpected chuckle echoed across the air. Enchanting immediately stood up and surveyed her surroundings. However, it was all empty and Enchanting did not see anyone. As expected, so it's the forbidden bloodline, the heavenly demon devouring bloodline, the voice rang out again. Don't play tricks. Show yourself. Enchanting was expressionless as she spoke coldly. As you wish. In the next second, the void beside Enchanting shattered and a silver wolf covered in black fog walked out. Enchanting stared at the huge silver wolf and frowned. It looked rather familiar. Soon, the huge silver wolf transformed into a human. When she saw that person's appearance, Enchanting was surprised. Demon God. Han Sangming. Han Sangming was slightly taken aback by Enchanting's words. His lips curled up as he stared at Enchanting in confusion. Demon God, this title is not bad. Han Kangming's gaze landed on the Heavenly Emperor. He chuckled softly. Is this what you call endless joy by battling the heavens? How pitiful. Enchanting looked at Han Sangming, not knowing what to say. In this distant era, she did not have any connections to Han Sangming at all. Now that she was facing an immortal emperor at the same level as the Heavenly Emperor, Enchanting felt quite pressured. Furthermore, Enchanting did not know what Han Sangming wanted at this time. Han Sangming walked around the Heavenly Emperor, looking like he was sizing him up. After a long while, his gaze suddenly landed on Enchanting. That's right. You absorbed all the destructive force that injured him. Enchanting looked at Han Sangming, not knowing what he meant. One of the ancient forbidden bloodlines. Legend has it that the heavenly demon devouring bloodline can devour everything in the world and convert the energy into itself. It is definitely a formidable bloodline. Have you ever thought of the dire consequences of keeping such a bloodline on you? Han Sangming suddenly smiled at Enchanting. To her eyes, Han Kangming's smile was so familiar and yet also so foreign. This smile was similar to Ling Yan's. However, Enchanting had never felt such terror from Ling Yan. There was a sharpness hidden in this smile. One wrong move and her throat would be sliced apart. This was the foremost feeling that Han Sangming was giving Enchanting at that moment. It made her fearful and want to stay away from him. I'm very curious about your relationship with the Heavenly Emperor. Why are you helping him? Han Xiangming asked Enchanting. I don't know him at all. I just can't bear to see an immortal emperor die like this. That's all, Enchanting replied. Can't bear to see an immortal emperor die like this. Is that truly all? Again the eerie smile was on Han Xiangming's face. That's all, Enchanting repeated firmly. Chapter 2634 Han Xiangming's Ambush, 5, up to you. It is not important to me. Earlier on, the heavenly demon devouring bloodline was already stirring. It wanted to devour the immortal emperor's essence. Han Xiangming continued. Enchanting frowned slightly when she heard Han Xiangming. Could it be that Han Xiangming had already sensed it from the beginning, but what did he want? Why did he keep mentioning her heavenly demon devouring bloodline? Woman, I'll give you two choices, Han Xiangming smiled. Just two. Enchanting stared at Han Xiangming and an ominous premonition arose in her heart. Han Xiangming ignored Enchanting and continued, the first option is for me to kill you and take out your heavenly demon devouring bloodline. The second option is for me to kill you but preserve your soul. If you have the ability, you can think of a way to possess someone and be reborn. Of course, I don't care whether you possess a human, demon, or beast. How about it? You wish to take my heavenly demon devouring bloodline? Enchanting stared at Han Xiangming with a cold glint in her eyes. Not wish to take. Han Xiangming immediately shook his head and smiled. Will take. Seeing that Enchanting was silent, Han Xiangming continued, all right, I'll give you 3 counts to decide. 3, 2, 1. Han Xiangming counted down. Seeing that Enchanting had not said anything, Han Xiangming smiled and said, fine. Since you don't want to choose, I will choose for you. As he spoke, Han Xiangming moved his hand and Enchanting's body was suddenly gripped tightly by an invisible force. She could not move at all. Enchanting could not resist this supreme power at all. She realized that even the deity ocean in her body was restrained by this invisible force and could not be activated. Enchanting's expression changed slightly. Could it be that after she came to this era, the final outcome would be her death at Han Xiangming's hands? In the past, Enchanting had thought of the countless ways she might die. She even thought that she might be killed by the Heavenly Emperor. However, she never expected to be killed by Han Xiangming. This was truly a boundless world, full of wonders. In the next second, without giving Enchanting any chance to think further, Han Xiangming took a step forward and appeared beside Enchanting. Woman, death is the price for possessing a forbidden bloodline. You don't have the ability to protect it. That is why you must die. As he spoke, Han Xiangming smiled and pointed at the area between Enchanting's brows. Sensing the extremely overwhelming force of an immortal emperor, Enchanting was powerless to resist. Even though she was much stronger than before, she was still as insignificant as an ant before an immortal emperor. Don't be afraid. Just as Enchanting was feeling a little hopeless, an ethereal voice entered her ears and reached the depths of her heart. At the final moment before death, Enchanting was surprised. Did she hear wrongly? Wasn't it Ling Yan's voice? Swoosh! A terrifying red light suddenly shot out of Enchanting's body. The red light was too fast and attacked Han Xiangming. You can still use divine powers after being restricted by me, not bad indeed. Han Xiangming gave a faint smile at the red light charging towards him. Han Xiangming waved his hand at the red light, wanting to disperse it. Chapter 2635 Shocking Change 1. In Han Xiangming's eyes, this red light was laughable. In just an instant, Han Xiangming's palm pierced through the red light. Surprise appeared in Han Kangming's eyes as the smile on his face froze. Enchanting saw that the red light seemed to have a life of its own as it wrapped around Han Kangming's palm. Not only that, the red light continued to expand in Han Kangming's palm. In just a few breaths, it had already reached Han Kangming's forearm. What is this? Enchanting stared at the red light and frowned. She found it increasingly strange and could not understand. At the same time, the unknown force that restrained Enchanting gradually weakened and completely dissipated, returning her freedom. This is the power of the Karma bloodline. Han Sangming stood rooted to the ground and stared at the red light on his arm. Karma bloodline. Enchanting was even more surprised when she heard that. In the lower realm, only one person possessed the Karma bloodline, and it was Ling Yan. However, Enchanting felt that something was wrong. She was the only one who came to this distant era. Why was Ling Yan's Karma bloodline here? Enchanting had the chance to escape, but after thinking about it, she chose to remain here to wait and see what would happen. To be fair, Enchanting did not want anything to happen to Han Sangming. After all, in Enchanting's era, Han Sangming did not do anything to her and even helped her. In this ancient era, Han Sangming still did not know Enchanting. Even though he wanted to kill her because of the heavenly demon devouring bloodline, Enchanting did not blame him. Are you alright? Enchanting asked Han Sangming. As soon as she said that, even Enchanting found her own question ridiculous. What kind of existence was Han Sangming? He was an immortal emperor, a top-notch expert in the world comparable to the Han Sangming. What could a red light do to him? Woman, you have two bloodlines in your body, the heavenly demon devouring bloodline and karma bloodline. How amazing! Han Sangming stared at Enchanting with no expression. Enchanting was dumbfounded. Han Sangming had misunderstood. She did have the heavenly demon devouring bloodline in her body, but the karma bloodline was not hers. This karma bloodline had nothing to do with her. If Enchanting guessed correctly, Ling Yan must have left the karma bloodline in her body. Although Enchanting did not know when Ling Yan left this bloodline in her, it was a fact. Moreover, Enchanting thought that she saw Ling Yan in the ancient god karma tunnel. However, Enchanting did not know what exactly happened. She was confused. Woman, even if you have the karma bloodline, you are too naive to think you can use it against me. Han Sangming stared at Enchanting and his lips curled up. There had to be a cause and effect for the karma bloodline. He had no link with this bloodline. How could it pose a threat to him? However, Han Kangming's expression changed again. His body and even his most fundamental power did not reject this karma bloodline at all. Not only that, his body was trying to welcome and merge with it. Chapter 2636 Shocking Change, 2. At that moment, Han Kangming's expression finally started to turn serious. He could not help sizing up Enchanting again. Han Sangming used his heaven-defying supernatural powers to remove the karma bloodline spreading on his body. However, he realized that it was useless. This karma bloodline was like a sticky plaster cast. It had no intention of leaving at all. Instead, it became even tighter. A cold glint flashed across Han Kangming's eyes and his killing intent surged. In the next second, a strong wind blew around them and their clothes fluttered. The karma bloodline is indeed miraculous. But will it still be effective if the owner dies? Han Sangming stared at Enchanting and asked indifferently. Enchanting, she would never be able to clear her name with Han Sangming. The karma bloodline was really not hers. Swoosh. Han Sangming moved and was instantly beside Enchanting. His suppressive aura made Enchanting unable to move at all. The feeling of being restrained by an invisible force appeared again. All Yi Qingtang could do was stand rooted to the ground and watch Han Sangming deliver a fatal blow to her. However, Han Kangming's actions were rather strange. He was clearly attacking her, but he kept missing. Boom. A terrifying explosion spread throughout the entire place. Han Kangming's palm strike landed a distance away and shattered a mountain peak. At this moment, Han Sangming suddenly stopped and hugged his head with both hands. An indescribably painful expression appeared on his face and a terrifying red glint surfaced in his indifferent eyes. "Get out!" Han Sangming nearly lost control as he roared. The power of the Karma bloodline was trying to possess him. A dignified supreme immortal emperor was being possessed by someone else. If this news were to spread, it would probably make everyone laugh their heads off. Instantly, countless chaotic memories surged into Han Kangming's mind. I see. With a crazed expression, Han Sangming looked at Yi Qingtang, who was at a loss. "She is mine!" Han Sangming shouted angrily. "You have no way to protect her. You're already dead. She can only belong to me. You don't belong to this era. Get lost. From the past to the future, you are me. I am you." Looking at the crazy Han Sangming, Yi Qingtang was baffled. She had no idea what was happening to Han Sangming. Ha. I am trying to possess myself, says, in that case, they'll destroy her so that she won't have to suffer in the human world. As he spoke, endless terrifying divine energy erupted from Han Kangming's body. Yi Qingtang was instantly restrained by some unknown force and she moved towards Han Sangming involuntarily. "Miss Yi, don't be afraid. Woman, you're mine." Two completely different voices rang out from Han Kangming's mouth simultaneously. At this moment, Han Kangming's left eye turned blood red, its gaze extremely gentle. Meanwhile, his other eye revealed a terrifying coldness. Yi Qingtang stared at Han Sangming in surprise. There seemed to be two completely different independent personalities in Han Kangming's body. The blood-colored eye on Han Kangming's left appeared very familiar to Yi Qingtang. Ling Yan. Chapter 26-37 Shocking Change, 3. Ling Yan. Yi Qingtang asked in surprise as she stared at Han Sangming. She was all too familiar with Ling Yan. His every move, mannerism and tone were almost identical to the Ling Yan whom Yi Qingtang knew. At that moment, Yi Qingtang finally understood that the karma bloodline that flew out from her body was indeed Ling Yan's. Yi Qingtang was surprised. When did Ling Yan enter the ancient god's karma tunnel with her? Furthermore, what was Ling Yan doing now? Was he possessing the body of demon god Han Sangming? Everything had completely surpassed Yi Qingtang's understanding. There were two questions that Yi Qingtang could not understand. Firstly, she had no idea how Ling Yan entered the ancient god karma tunnel with her. Moreover, Yi Qingtang was certain that Ling Yan had appeared several times in the ancient god karma tunnel and the doomed hell. Each time he appeared, it was because she was in a daze. During that time, Yi Qingtang thought that it was just her hallucination. But now, it seemed that it was no hallucination. Ling Yan had indeed appeared. Secondly, even if Ling Yan entered the ancient god karma tunnel with her, with Ling Yan's ability, would he dare to possess the body of the immortal Emperor Han Sangming? Was he courting death? Looking at the overall situation, the heavily injured and unconscious Heavenly Emperor who was now lying in the deep pit should be easier to possess, right? Even if Ling Yan had the terrifying ambition to possess an immortal emperor, why didn't he choose the Heavenly Emperor but instead targeted the demon god Han Sangming? Yi Qingtang could not understand all of this. She had never expected such a thing to happen after coming to this era. She never expected Ling Yan to enter this distant era with her. Ling Yan, is that you? Enchanting looked at Han Sangming with a frown. An indescribable emotion surfaced in Han Kangming's blood-colored left eye, but he did not reply. Before Enchanting could say anything, her body was already pushed to Han Kangming's side. In the next second, Han Kangming's right hand grabbed Enchanting's throat. He stared at Enchanting with a complicated expression. "I will bring you away from this world, to avoid pain." Han Kangming's right eye regained its coldness and madness. As Han Sangming exerted force with his right hand, Enchanting's body was lifted off the ground. "She wants to kill him, I want to kill me, how laughable is that?" Han Kangming's crazy voice sounded again. However, before Han Sangming could continue, his left hand grabbed his neck. "Yes, that's it, let our bodies perish together. I can easily destroy your divine soul. You shouldn't exist in this era, future me." Han Sangming laughed maniacally. "After my body is destroyed, I will destroy your soul and undergo rebirth to create a new body. Enchanting, in the future, let me protect you." Han Sangming continued to shout coldly. "Ha, can you do it?" This time, it was Ling Yan's voice. Han Kangming's body seemed to be out of control and he suddenly released Enchanting's hand. She immediately retreated into the distance to ensure her safety. Chapter 26:38 Shocking Change. However, before long, Han Sangming gradually lost control and flew away. Enchanting did not know what had happened and wanted to chase after him. However, Enchanting's speed could not match up to Han Kangming's. Having no other voice, Enchanting returned to her original position. Although Enchanting was extremely puzzled, Ling Yan was not around and her queries could not be answered. In the distance, the red light had already covered Han Kangming's entire body. "Ha," Han Sangming chuckled. "The me in this era has yet to fully establish his powers." After Han Sangming finished speaking, the other half of his body seemed to be struggling crazily, wanting to break free from Ling Yan's control. However, it was all in vain. After about an hour, Han Kangming's right eye turned blood red. An indescribable luster appeared in his blood-red eyes. After a moment, they returned to their normal color. "In this era, although my strength is not at its peak, it is enough." The corners of Han Kangming's lips curled up slightly. "Unfortunately, I don't like my former appearance." Han Kangming's face changed drastically. If Enchanting were here, she would definitely recognize that Han Kangming's face was Ling Yan's. Soon enough, Ling Yan raised his hand and Han Kangming's soul appeared. "Past me, I have to trouble you to continue being the demon god in this era." As Ling Yan finished speaking, a blood-colored light appeared and turned into a silver wolf. A few seconds later, the silver wolf turned into a human body. This blood-colored light was Ling Yan's former body. In the next second, Ling Yan placed Han Kangming's soul into that body. "Past me, I will seal you off for 50 years. After that, Miss Yi and I should have long left this era. Using you to deceive fate is the most suitable choice." The corners of Ling Yan's lips curled up slightly. He then waved his arm and sealed this body in the void. Ling Yan's plan was very successful. First, he used his own life as the price to open the ancient god karma tunnel. The final traces of Ling Yan's karma bloodline then entered this era with Enchanting. In this distant era, not only did Enchanting obtain a huge fortuitous opportunity, but Ling Yan also got his wish and possessed his former self. Although the two Han Kangmings, past and future, were the same person, their souls were completely independent. It was impossible for Ling Yan to remain forever in this era. Once he left, his disappearance from history would definitely arouse the suspicion of the fates. Therefore, Ling Yan had to leave his body, and after possessing the soul of the past era Han Sangming, he placed that soul into that empty body. Identical bodies, identical souls. A flawless plan. However, Ling Yan could not predict what would happen in the future. Nevertheless, he had already prepared for the worst. Perhaps, after returning to his own era, the Han Sangming whom he had sealed off would appear again. At that moment, Yi Qingtang walked into the deep pit and started to check on the injuries of the Heavenly Emperor. After she had absorbed the destructive energy from the Heavenly Emperor's body, his injuries were improving and he was rapidly healing. Chapter 2639 Cage Prison 1. Yi Qingtang waited until dusk before the unconscious Heavenly Emperor woke up. Seeing that the Heavenly Emperor had awakened, Yi Qingtang quickly retreated and prepared to leave. However, before Yi Qingtang moved too far, a shadow flashed across the void and appeared beside her. That shadow was none other than the Heavenly Emperor himself. The Heavenly Emperor stood in front of Yi Qingtang and stared at her expressionlessly. "You are the one who saved me." The Heavenly Emperor was the first to speak after a long while. Yi Qingtang was relieved when she saw that the Heavenly Emperor did not have any ill intentions toward her. Heavenly Demon Devouring Bloodline. I see. You are also the one who absorbed the destructive energy in my body, the Heavenly Emperor said slowly as he sized up Yi Qingtang. Yi Qingtang was slightly taken aback by the Heavenly Emperor's words. Even the Heavenly Emperor had detected her Heavenly Demon Devouring Bloodline. Seeing Yi Qingtang's startled expression, the Heavenly Emperor said indifferently, "Don't panic. I have no interest in your Heavenly Demon Devouring Bloodline." "That's good," Yi Qingtang heaved a sigh of relief. If this Heavenly Emperor was like Han Sangming from before, Yi Qingtang would not be able to fight him off. "What is your name?" the Heavenly Emperor asked Yi Qingtang. "My name is not important," Yi Qingtang said. "You have quite the personality. No one has ever dared to speak to me like that," the Heavenly Emperor said. "However, since you saved me, I will spare your life." "Yi Qingtang, if I remember correctly, you were the one who warned me to be careful as I underwent the heavenly tribulation," the Heavenly Emperor continued. Yi Qingtang did not deny and nodded. "So you saw something that I could not see, right?" The Heavenly Emperor looked at Yi Qingtang meaningfully. As expected, Yi Qingtang was not wrong. Even the Heavenly Emperor could not see the huge shadow with blood-red eyes behind the thundercloud. Visit Readle.me for extra chapters. Do you know what happened and what attacked me after I underwent the 10th Heavenly Tribulation? The Heavenly Emperor asked Yi Qingtang. I did. Yi Qingtang had no choice but to tell the Heavenly Emperor what she saw. Behind the thundercloud was a huge shadow. After you underwent the 10th Heavenly Tribulation, it was that shadow that attacked you and severely injured you. Shadow, the Heavenly Emperor seemed to be deep in thought. From the looks of it, the secret legend is real. Secret legend? Yi Qingtang was rather curious about what the Heavenly Emperor was referring to. Seeing Yi Qingtang's puzzled expression, the Heavenly Emperor sat on the ground expressionlessly and patted the space in front of him. Sit. Oh, Yi Qingtang did not dare to disobey the Heavenly Emperor. She had no choice but to sit down. It looks like you're also very interested in the secret legend. You wish to know, the Heavenly Emperor said calmly. If you are willing to tell me, Yi Qingtang said. You really have a unique personality. The Heavenly Emperor looked at Yi Qingtang and immediately looked away. I can tell you about the secret legend. It concerns a cage prison. Cage prison. Yi Qingtang had a strange expression. That's right. The Heavenly Emperor looked up into the sky. The lower realm has always been a cage prison. And at the end of the void, there's an upper realm. What do you mean? Yi Qingtang asked. That so-called shadow which you saw must have been the guardian of the lower realm cage. Its existence is to prevent any living being from escaping from the lower realm. A cold glint surfaced in the Heavenly Emperor's eyes. Chapter 2640 Saint Yu, 1, Cage Prison. Yi Qingtang looked at the Heavenly Emperor in astonishment. The lower realm was actually a prison. However, what did this cage represent? When did this cage first come about? Those who possess sufficient power will be able to ascend to the heavens and enter the upper realms and become a true god. However, the more true gods enter the upper realm, the more unstable the world will become, the Heavenly Emperor explained expressionlessly. Yi Qingtang frowned in deep thought after hearing the Heavenly Emperor's words. So what you mean is that the upper realm does not want the living beings in the lower realm to be able to ascend to the heavens. This is why the heavenly tribulation exists. Perhaps. Actually, Yi Qingtang was only a little curious about what the Heavenly Emperor said. She did not really care that much if the lower realm was a cage prison. This matter was too far-fetched an idea for Yi Qingtang. After a long time, the Heavenly Emperor's gaze landed on Yi Qingtang. I will be leaving. However, I don't like to owe others a favor. If there's a chance in the future, I will repay you. With that, the Heavenly Emperor stood up slowly and disappeared before Yi Qingtang's eyes. Half a month later, somewhere on a mountain peak. The Heavenly Emperor looked at the man in front of him and said coldly, "Hand it over." This man was none other than Han Sangming. Han Sangming immediately took out a jade bead and threw it to the Heavenly Emperor without saying a word. A hint of surprise appeared in the Heavenly Emperor's eyes. He had chased after Han Sangming for half a year, but he was unwilling to hand over the Heaven Ascension Pearl. He did not expect him to be so compliant this time. It was a little puzzling. Do you find my actions unbelievable? Han Sangming stared at the Heavenly Emperor and chuckled. I'm just curious. Why did you suddenly change your mind? The Heavenly Emperor asked Han Sangming. Han Sangming did not answer the Heavenly Emperor's question. He just smiled and said, "You want to ascend to the heavens, but you don't know how long you can live a carefree life thereafter." What do you mean? The Heavenly Emperor asked expressionlessly. People dream of breaking out of the cage prison and ascending to the upper realm. Growing wings and becoming an immortal. Isn't that laughable? Han Sangming replied. There's no need for you to worry about me. The Heavenly Emperor stated calmly. You seem different today. Visit Readle. Me for extra chapters. Why do you say that? Han Sangming smiled. Just a feeling, the Heavenly Emperor answered. In the Heavenly Emperor's mind, Han Sangming was extremely sinister and cunning. However, the Han Sangming in front of him gave him a different feeling. Several years later. Inside the Great Immortal Temple. Several years had passed since Yi Qingtang came to this strange era, but she still could not find a way to leave. Sister Yi Yu. At the back of the mountain, Feng Wuyin and Feng Jiuyou ran over together. Yi Qingtang returned to her senses and looked at the two boys. Feng Jiuyou and Feng Wuyin had grown a little, and their martial skills had already entered the sub-emperor realm. Years had passed since she parted ways with the Heavenly Emperor. By fate, Yi Qingtang came to the Great Immortal Temple and became the disciple of the Nine Heaven Saint, the chief elder of the Great Immortal Temple. After gaining a firm foothold in the Great Immortal Temple, Yi Qingtang brought Feng Wuyin and Feng Jiuyou here as well. If you find any errors, broken links, non-standard content, etc., please let us know so we can fix it as soon as possible. Tip: you can use left, right, A and D keyboard keys to browse between chapters. Chapter 2641 Saint Yu, 2, over the past few years, Enchanting had gone into seclusion to cultivate and rarely went out. She rarely appeared even within the Great Immortal Temple. Everyone knew that the Nine-Heaven Saint of the Great Immortal Temple had accepted a disciple, but no one knew who it was. Enchanting had been in seclusion for several years and her martial arts skills had already entered the Emperor stage. The Emperor stage was completely different from the Divine Lord stage. There were a total of 9 levels to the Divine Lord realm, but there were only 3 different levels for the Emperor realm. They were the Worldly Emperor level, the Illusory Emperor level and the Heaven Emperor level. Even so, most Emperor-level practitioners would spend their entire lives wandering around the Worldly Emperor level, never coming close to the Illusionary level. After being in seclusion for several years, Enchanting's cultivation level had already entered the Illusionary Emperor stage, and was fast charging towards the Heaven Emperor level. As for how to return to her own era, Enchanting did not know, but she never gave up trying to find opportunities. During this period of time, apart from finding a way to return to her own era, Enchanting did not forget the power of the heart of the heavenly Tao. However, she still made no progress in that area. Madam. A moment later, an emperor-level figure entered the back mountain and looked at Enchanting respectfully. Speak. Enchanting looked at the person. Madam, the Nine-Heaven Saint is looking for you. He wants you to go to the saint's residence, the emperor-level person reported. Enchanting nodded and said to Feng Wuyin and Feng Jiuyo, the two of you cultivate well. Don't be lazy. Sister Yiyu, don't worry. Feng Jiuyo said. Well, work hard. Feng Wuyin chimed in. Enchanting smiled and turned to leave. Inside the saint's residence, an elder with white hair and beard sat in the main seat of the hall. Visit Riedel. Me for extra chapters. Master. Enchanting said with cupped fists when she saw the elder. I heard that you came out of seclusion, so I asked you to come over. The white-haired elder sized up Enchanting. This elder with white hair and beard sat in the distance, but he gave off an endless oppressive aura. His entire being was like an immovable mountain range. This aura was even more terrifying than the Heavenly Emperor and Han Sangming from several years ago. The Nine-Heaven Saint was one of the saints of this era and also one of the founders of the Great Immortal Temple. He was an old supreme being who had lived for countless years. When Enchanting first met the Nine-Heaven Saint, the heavenly demon devouring bloodline stirred inside her body, and this was detected by the Nine-Heaven Saint. However, the Nine-Heaven Saint still accepted Enchanting as his disciple. After that, the Nine-Heaven Saint actually discovered that there was still a rare great Tao power in Enchanting's body. He was extremely surprised and Enchanting became the Nine-Heaven Saint's most favored disciple. Everyone knew that the Nine-Heaven Saint had accepted a female disciple called Yiyu and was prepared to groom this disciple to become the next saint. Therefore, everyone called Enchanting Saint Yiyu. I've let Master worry about me all these years, Enchanting smiled. You've already broken through from the Worldly Emperor level to the Illusionary Emperor level. The Nine-Heaven Saint narrowed his eyes. Master, I broke through about a year after I went into seclusion. Unfortunately, I encountered a bottleneck when breaking through to the Heaven Emperor level. My cultivation level has been increasing very slowly since then. Enchanting sighed. If the strength of her martial art managed to increase at a steady pace, she would have broken through to the Heaven Emperor level a long time ago. Perhaps, she would even be on the threshold of the Immortal Emperor stage now. Chapter 2642 Saint Yiyu 3. Where, in the realm of martial arts, you have to be calm and steady. You must not be impatient. Remember, haste does not always bring success. It is already a miracle for you to break through from the worldly emperor level to the illusory emperor level in such a short period of time. Many powerful figures with astonishing talents remained stuck at the worldly emperor level for their entire lives. Even until their deaths, they did not manage to even reach the threshold of the illusory level. Back then, even I had to spend 18 years to merely break through from the worldly level to the illusory emperor level, the Nine Heaven Saint advised Enchanting. Enchanting nodded and said, "Master, you are right. I am too anxious. Since you've come out of seclusion this time, you should make a trip to the outside world," the Nine Heaven Saint continued after a while. Make a trip to the outside world. Enchanting was confused by the Nine Heaven Saint's words. Why did he suddenly ask her to leave the great immortal temple to wander around the outside world? As if seeing Enchanting's confusion, the Nine Heaven Saint stroked his white beard and said, "It's about the legacy of the fourth domain." The fourth domain. Enchanting was astounded. In this era, the legacy of the fourth domain had actually been activated. That's right. The Nine Heaven Saint chuckled. The world is in chaos. The opening of the legacy of the fourth domain will alarm countless powerful figures in the world. How can my great immortal temple not join in the fun? You are my most beloved disciple, so you must represent me to take a look. If you are fated, you might even be able to enjoy a share of the benefits. Then, is Master not going? Enchanting asked curiously. Regarding this, the Nine Heaven Saint shook his head and seemed to look rather resigned. Master has his own mission. Do you know what kind of demonic creatures are suppressed by this great immortal temple? If Master leaves, the consequences will be unimaginable. I see. Enchanting nodded. Actually, Enchanting also knew some rumors about the great immortal temple. Visit Me for extra chapters. It was rumored that the great immortal temple was formed by some monks tens of thousands of years ago. The purpose of the great immortal temple was to suppress all evil in the world. Deep underground beneath the great immortal temple were the devils sealed by those supreme monks from tens of thousands of years ago. In the following generations, no matter how the times changed, the great immortal temple remained the same. The strongest saints worked together to maintain the forbidden array formation, using it to continue suppressing the evil of the world. This was the reason why the Nine Heaven Saint could not leave the great immortal temple. Master, I understand. When should I set off? Enchanting asked the Nine Heaven Saint. You just came out of seclusion. Before this, several teams of people from the Great Immortal Temple have already left for the transit station between the Divine Venerate domain and the fourth domain. It is probably already time to leave. I will leave it up to you to decide when to set off. However, I advise you to leave as soon as possible so as to avoid missing out on any fortuitous opportunities, the Nine Heaven Saint advised Enchanting. Master, I understand. With that, Enchanting turned and left. 2 days later, Enchanting finished her preparations and stabilized her cultivation level at the Illusory Emperor stage. She then left the Great Immortal Temple and flew towards the transit station between the Divine Venerate domain and the fourth domain. Chapter 2643 Saint Yu 4. To be honest, Enchanting did not object to this fourth domain legacy mission. In fact, she was looking forward to it. All these years, Enchanting had been searching for a way to absorb the power of her heart of the heavenly Tao, but to no avail. Not only that, she had no idea how to return to her own era. Moreover, there was no news of Ling Yan and the demon god Han Sangming over the past few years. Enchanting only knew that Ling Yan turned into a red light and entered Han Kangming's body. Han Sangming eventually lost control and disappeared. After that, Enchanting had no idea what had happened. During this period, Enchanting would use her status in the Great Immortal Temple to send an emperor-level helper out of the temple to inquire about Heartwarming, but to no avail. It was as if the demon god Heartwarming had disappeared from the face of the earth. No matter how they tried, they could not find any traces of him. Enchanting was also very worried about Ling Yan. She did not know what happened between Ling Yan and Heartwarming. She felt that Ling Yan was too audacious. With Ling Yan's martial arts skills, he could be beaten to death by any random martial arts practitioner he met on the road. But Ling Yan dared to have designs on the demon god Heartwarming. Previously, the 9 Heaven Saints said that the opening of the 4th domain's legacy had already alarmed the world's most powerful figures. Enchanting believed that the supreme existences like the Heavenly Emperor and the demon god Heartwarming would definitely not miss this opportunity and would definitely go. Indeed, Enchanting had 2 motives for going there this time. Her first goal was to find Heartwarming and find out about Ling Yan's whereabouts, whether he was dead or alive. Even if Heartwarming wanted to attack her, Enchanting was not afraid. After all, the Heavenly Emperor still owed her a huge favor. With the Heavenly Emperor's personality, he would definitely repay her kindness. If Enchanting asked him, the Heavenly Emperor would not just stand by and do nothing. It should not be difficult for him to protect her. The second goal was for Enchanting to see if she could use the 4th domain legacy to find a way to return to her own era or to absorb the power of her heart of the heavenly Tao. As time passed, the seal of the former divine phoenix had been completely undone. Enchanting, who was now at the illusionary emperor level, had naturally discovered the existence of the guide. Enchanting used her mystical ability to seal the heart of the heavenly Tao again. However, the price of this mystical ability was too high, which resulted in a bottleneck in Enchanting's cultivation progress. Otherwise, Enchanting was confident that she would have broken through to the Heaven Emperor level half a year ago in the past. Enchanting would bring Feng Wuyin and Feng Jiuyo with her wherever she went. Firstly, she wanted these 2 youths to train more so that their skills could increase. Secondly, it had been a rather long time but the Heavenly Demon Tribe branch had yet to make an appearance. Enchanting was indeed worried. However, it would probably be too dangerous for the boys to go to the 4th domain legacy place with her. It was just not safe to bring Feng Wuyin and Feng Jiuyo along. Even Enchanting could not guarantee that she would be able to handle the dangers, much less protect Feng Wuyin and Feng Jiuyo. Chapter 26-44 Temple Holy Lord 1. For the next 2 days, Enchanting did not rest at all but rushed from the Great Immortal Temple to the 4th Domain Transit Station. The so-called 4th Domain Transit Station had existed for tens of thousands of years. In the earliest days, there was a teleportation portal in the transit station that could teleport people directly to the 4th Domain. However, ever since the 4th Domain disappeared and became a dead domain, this transit station had been completely abandoned. It no longer had the bustle and vibrancy from tens of thousands of years ago. Now that the 4th Domain legacy had been activated and was hidden in the transit station, the place seemed to have regained some of its former glory. To put it bluntly, the 4th Domain transit station had been abandoned a long time ago and had become a huge, deep forest canyon. It was said that there were many powerful demonic creatures in this deep forest canyon. However, following the opening of the 4th Domain legacy, nearly all the top experts of the Divine Venerate domain were alerted. A large number of experts had swamped the deep forest canyon, killing all those demonic creatures. Enchanting descended from the sky and arrived at the periphery of the forest. As far as the eye could see, the periphery of the deep forest was basically packed with people. As the news of the opening of the 4th Domain legacy spread, even some of the weaker family clans had come here just to witness a historical event. Many experts were not qualified to enter and just planned to pick up any scraps. It was not just the Divine Venerate domain. Be it the blue sky domain or the mixed heavens holy domain, such a situation was very common whenever extraordinary legacies were opened. Enchanting did not mind. The outer perimeter of the forest was filled with independent experts or ordinary family clans. Peak experts who were truly qualified would not remain in the outer perimeter. They had already entered the forest. Enchanting did not dawdle but flew towards the deep forest. Before Enchanting could enter the depths, she was stopped by a worldly emperor-level expert leading over a dozen ninth heaven-level divine lord practitioners. "Excuse me, why are you standing in my way?" Enchanting asked coldly as she swept her gaze across the worldly emperor-level expert and his men. "Ha!" The worldly emperor-level practitioner sized up Enchanting and sneered in disdain. "Little girl, do you know that this is the fourth domain legacy place? Where are you from and what kind of force are you? How dare you barge in without any notice?" The man stared at Enchanting and laughed coldly. Enchanting frowned slightly. After the opening of the fourth domain legacy, many supreme forces from the divine venerate domain had already stationed themselves in advance. Those powerful factions had already completely sealed off the perimeter in order to prevent random people from sneaking in. They did not give ordinary family clans and independent cultivators the slightest chance. Anyone who dared to try and trespass would be killed. Great Immortal Temple. "Scram," Enchanting said impatiently. As soon as Enchanting finished speaking, the worldly emperor-level cultivator and some of the other emperor-level practitioners standing nearby roared with laughter. Chapter 26:45 Temple Holy Lord 2. Everyone in the divine venerate domain knew about the Great Immortal Temple. There was no need to elaborate on the temple's reputation. The Great Immortal Temple was one of the top supreme factions in the present world and there were not many factions who could compare to them. However, the people from the Great Immortal Temple had already been stationed there since news of the fourth domain legacy spread. They had already entered the depths a few days ago. Now, this woman had appeared out of nowhere and was claiming she was from the Great Immortal Temple. It was truly laughable. However, in order not to cause too much trouble, the worldly emperor-level practitioner stared at Enchanting and smiled. "Alright, since you say that you are from the Great Immortal Temple, show me the Great Immortal Temple token. If you can take it out, we will let you in," but, at that point, a cold glint surfaced in the eyes of that worldly emperor-level practitioner. He stared at Enchanting and continued, "But if you can't take it out, it means you actually dared to pretend to be from the Great Immortal Temple. Not only will you be unable to enter, but you will also probably die here." The impatience in Enchanting's eyes intensified. The worldly emperor-level practitioner was asking for her to show the Great Immortal Temple token, which would prove she was really from the temple. No one in the outside world knew about Enchanting's status as a disciple of the Nine Heaven Saint. There was also no way Enchanting would take out the token just for anybody. "What? You don't have it?" Seeing that Enchanting remained unmoving, a ninth heaven-level divine lord middle-aged man standing beside the worldly emperor-level cultivator glared at Enchanting coldly and snorted. "Scram." Enchanting lost all her patience. "You are courting death." Everyone, including the worldly emperor-level expert, was enraged by Enchanting's words. This woman was really audacious. Not only did she pretend to be someone from the Great Immortal Temple, she even wanted to barge into their midst. However, before Enchanting could say anything else, the heads of the worldly emperor-level practitioner and his men were instantly torn apart, spraying blood everywhere. Enchanting frowned. She could have done it, but she definitely did not attack. She did not kill the worldly emperor-level practitioner and his men. Ah! Before Enchanting could think further, miserable cries sounded from afar. Almost instinctively, Enchanting looked into the distance. Just that one glance made Enchanting's expression change. An extremely beautiful woman dressed in white appeared like a holy halo. Her entire body emitted a terrifying aura. Her eyes seemed to contain no human emotions. Anyone who dared to stand in her way would be instantly killed. However, to Yi Qingtang's surprise, that woman looked exactly like her. They were completely identical. Yi Qingtang was bewildered. Why did this woman look like her? However, although they looked the same on the outside, Yi Qingtang's martial arts skills could not be compared to this woman. If Yi Qingtang guessed correctly, this woman had probably already reached the Immortal Emperor level. An Immortal Emperor could topple everything with a single thought. She was an existence that stood at the peak of the martial arts world. Chapter 2646 Temple Holy Lord 3. Yi Qingtang felt a lingering fear in her heart as she looked at the Immortal Emperor-level figure who looked exactly like her. The Worldly Emperor and 9th Heaven-level Divine Lord practitioners were not deliberately killed by that Immortal Emperor. They were just collateral damage from that Immortal Emperor's aura. An Immortal Emperor, it's an Immortal Emperor. Someone called out loudly, causing the many cultivators guarding the perimeter to tremble in fear. One had to know that it was impossible for there to be an Immortal Emperor among the guards. Every single Immortal Emperor was a core expert of supreme power. How could they be left behind to guard the perimeter? All of them had already entered the depths. Meanwhile, Emperor-level practitioners were as weak as ants before an Immortal Emperor. They had no way to fight back and could only wait to be slaughtered. After knowing that the intruder was an Immortal Emperor, no one dared to behave audaciously anymore. They immediately retreated in all directions. Who would dare to obstruct an Immortal Emperor? Did they want to die? Seeing that no one was going to stop her, the Immortal Emperor, who looked exactly like Yi Qingtang, finally suppressed her killer aura and walked deeper into the depths as if no one was there. At that moment, surprise filled Yi Qingtang's eyes. She suddenly remembered that when she just entered this strange era and saved the young Feng Jiuyo, he told her that there was an Immortal Emperor who looked extremely similar to Yi Qingtang. He also mentioned the Temple of Paragon. Could this be? Yi Qingtang was deep in thought as she watched the Immortal Emperor leave. Could that Immortal Emperor just now be that Paragon from the Temple of Paragon? Back then, in Yi Qingtang's original era, she had been captured by the Temple of Paragon, who took her to be a clone of the Paragon and wanted to execute her. Everything that happened in that era felt like yesterday to Yi Qingtang. It was not distant at all and she could recall every detail. If not for the fact that she kept arguing that she was not a clone of the Paragon, Yi Qingtang would have already been executed by the Temple of Paragon. After that, not only did Yi Qingtang not lose her life, she was also treated by the Temple of Paragon as the reincarnation of the Paragon. Yi Qingtang was not stupid. From the Temple of Shadows to the Temple of Paragon in the Mixed Heavens Holy Domain, everything was linked and connected to her somehow. It would be ridiculous to believe that it was all just a coincidence. It was as if everything was predestined. At the very least, there was one thing that could not be refuted. The Holy Lord of the Temple of Shadows was indeed a clone of the Temple of Paragon's Paragon. She was first treated as the Holy Lord of Shadows, then she was treated as the reincarnation of the Temple of Paragon's Paragon. Then, was it possible that she was indeed the reincarnation of the Temple of Paragon's Holy Lord? But if that was really the case, Yi Qingtang shuddered when she recalled what the big yellow dog said to her back then. The big yellow dog had once used karmic divination to help divine her future. And the result of the divination was that she had killed herself. Yi Qingtang would naturally not commit suicide. But if she was the reincarnation of the Temple of Paragon's Paragon, and she had arrived in this past era. Chapter 2647 Temple Holy Lord 4. Perhaps she could understand the meaning behind the yellow dog's words now. She would eventually kill herself. Could it be that in her previous life, the Temple of Paragon's Holy Lord had killed her in this past era? If she could understand it this way, everything would make sense. However, Enchanting did not expect the Temple of Paragon's Holy Lord to have any reason to kill her. She couldn't possibly anger the Temple of Paragon's Paragon so much just because she looked like her. If the Temple of Paragon's Paragon was so petty, Enchanting believed that it was impossible for her to become an immortal emperor. Regardless, that possibility still existed. Enchanting made up her mind that no matter what, she must try her best to distance herself from that Temple of Paragon's Holy Lord. She could not afford to offend her at all. In this era, the Temple of Paragon's Paragon had not died yet. It was even possible that she was at her peak. If she had really died in her hands in her previous life, this manner of death was a little too underserved. Enchanting remained outside and was in no hurry to enter the depths. She would enter after the Temple of Paragon's Paragon had walked further away, so that they would not bump into each other. The other powerful figures now looked at Enchanting in a drastically different light. There was no longer the earlier indifference and disdain. Instead, there was fear and unease. The reason was very simple. Enchanting's appearance was exactly the same as that immortal emperor, who had killed so many people earlier. This woman, could she be a clone of that immortal emperor? One of the emperor-level cultivators looked at Enchanting nervously. Enchanting was speechless. Was she destined to always be a clone? In her own era, she was treated as a clone. Now that she had come to this past era, she was still being treated as a clone. Did she have the word clone written all over her face? No, this aura doesn't feel like a clone. Could she be her twin sister? Twin sisters, yes, that's very possible. Twin sisters, that's not important. She can't be an immortal emperor too, right? Enchanting was not interested in the crowd's discussion. She just waited quietly at the side. It was not until late at night that Enchanting finally took action. As everyone watched, she strode into the depths. And this time, no one dared to stop Enchanting. That powerful immortal emperor from earlier today was a lesson learned. After all, these two people looked exactly the same. No one dared to stop them. Late at night, the depths of the Fourth Domain Legacy were bone-chillingly cold. An oppressive aura enveloped everything, and the air was filled with the faint smell of blood. Enchanting was not surprised by this. Countless major and minor factions had entered the depths, including the top factions from the Divine Venerate domain. The first-rate factions would not hesitate to slaughter those weaker factions and independent cultivators who managed to sneak in. You're tuning into the LoveLore Library YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.